Are you tired of the constant hustle, the never-ending grind, and the overwhelming pressure to be perfect in every area of your life? I get it. We've all been there, chasing unrealistic expectations, trying to juggle everything at once, and feeling like we're falling short. But what if I told you that there's a smarter way, a way to actually live and find balance without sacrificing your sanity or happiness? That's where pragmatism comes in. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Isn't pragmatism just about being practical? Well, yes, but it's also about doing what works, cutting through the fluff, and embracing the messy, imperfect reality of life. In this video, I'm going to show you how pragmatism isn't just some abstract philosophy. It's the game-changing mindset that can help you regain control, find true balance, and live with purpose. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll have practical tools to tackle the chaos and make better decisions that actually align with your life. Ready to stop overthinking and start living? Let's dive in. Number 1. The Minimum Monday Manifesto. What if I told you that doing less could actually make you more productive? No, I'm not talking about slacking off or shirking responsibilities, but a deliberate strategic choice to start your week at half speed. Sounds counterintuitive, right? Stick with me here. We've all been conditioned to see Monday as the launch pad of the productivity rocket, the day we charge into the week guns blazing. But let me ask you this. How often does that Monday hustle leave you burned out by Wednesday? Exactly. We've all been there. It's Sunday evening and that familiar sense of dread creeps in. The endless to-do lists, the emails waiting to be answered, the meetings that could have been emails. You know the type. By Monday morning, the pressure's on, and you're already sprinting a mental marathon before breakfast. Here's the thing. This frantic start doesn't just set the tone for your week. It hijacks your energy and focus. And trust me, I've been in the trenches of the Monday madness, juggling deadlines and endless tasks, only to find myself running on fumes before the week's halfway point. Here's the twist. What if we flip the script? Instead of going all in, we start slow. Welcome to the Minimum Monday Manifesto, a radical approach to reclaiming your energy and focus. On Mondays, commit to doing only what's essential, no more, no less. Prioritize the critical tasks, the ones that truly move the needle, and let the rest wait until Tuesday. This isn't about laziness, it's about being intentional. Mondays aren't for conquering the world, they're for setting the stage. Now, I know what you're thinking. Won't that make me look lazy? Won't I fall behind? Trust me, I thought the same. But here's what changed my mind. A while back, I decided to test this out. On a Monday morning, instead of diving into the chaos, I started with just 2 high-priority tasks and left the rest for later. By lunchtime, I wasn't frazzled or overwhelmed. I was focused. I had the mental clarity to tackle the rest of the week, and, surprise, I got more done by Friday than I had in months. The beauty of this approach lies in its ripple effect. You'll notice less stress, more focus, and, here's the kicker, a stronger sense of control. By easing into the week, you're not just managing tasks, you're managing yourself. You reclaim your time, your energy, and most importantly, your sanity. This isn't just about surviving Mondays, it's about thriving the entire week. So here's your challenge. Next Monday, don't let the hustle dictate your day. Embrace the Minimum Monday Manifesto. Do less, but do it with purpose. Give yourself permission to start slow and watch how it transforms your week. Your space, your peace, and your productivity, they're all worth it. Number 2, radical obligation. Pruning. Here's a question that might make you squirm. How much of your time is spent doing things you really want to do? Not things you feel obligated to do, not things someone else thinks you should do, things you genuinely care about. If your answer made you pause, you're not alone. Most of us are so entangled in a web of expectations that we don't even notice how tight it's pulled until we're gasping for air. Now, imagine cutting those strings, deliberately, unapologetically. Scary, sure. Liberating, absolutely. Welcome to the idea of radical obligation pruning. We've all been there. Someone asks for just a small favor that somehow spirals into a full-blown commitment, or you find yourself on a committee, in a group chat, or hosting an event because saying no felt awkward. And then there's the guilt, the voice in your head whispering, they'll think you're selfish, they'll be disappointed. Sound familiar? We've all been conditioned to equate being agreeable with being good, to the point where our own needs take a back seat. It's exhausting, isn't it? Here's the radical idea. You don't have to do it all. In fact, you shouldn't do it all. Obligation pruning is the deliberate act of cutting away commitments, relationships, and tasks that drain your energy without adding value to your life. It's like tending a garden. If you want your plants to thrive, you have to pull out the weeds. Yes, even if the weeds are pretty or someone else planted them for you. Now I know what you're thinking. But won't people get upset? Won't I look selfish? Maybe. But here's a truth we rarely admit. The people who genuinely care about you will respect your boundaries. And those who don't? Well, their disappointment says more about their expectations than your worth. Let me tell you about the time I finally put this into practice. A few months ago, I found myself drowning in obligations. I was agreeing to every work project, every social invitation, every family errand. One day, I looked at my calendar and realized there wasn't a single hour left for me. So I made a list of everything I was committed to and started crossing things off, ruthlessly. That group chat I never wanted to be in, left it. The volunteer work I had no passion for, politely stepped back. The weekly coffee date with a friend who only ever complained, cancelled. And you know what? The world didn't end. Sure, a few people were surprised, maybe even annoyed, but the peace I gained was worth it. This isn't just about freeing up time, it's about reclaiming your life. It's about choosing what and who deserves your energy. It's about recognizing that your time is finite, and spending it wisely is a form of self-respect. Yes, pruning can feel brutal at first, but it's a gift to yourself and ultimately to the people who matter most. So here's your challenge. Take a hard look at your obligations. Which ones light you up and which ones weigh you down? Start small if you need to. Say no to one thing this week. See how it feels. This is about more than saying no. It's about saying yes to yourself. Your time, your energy, your priorities, they're worth protecting. Go on. Grab those pruning shears. Your life is waiting to bloom. Number 3, time for money truth. Swap. Here's a bold statement for you. Your time is worth more than you think, like a lot more. If you're like most people, you're probably trading chunks of your life for things that don't come close to matching the value of what you're giving up. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to extra hours at work, a low-paying gig, or a side hustle that drained you, all because you felt like you couldn't say no? Now you might be thinking, but isn't that just part of life? Not necessarily. What if you could swap this mindset for something better? We've all been there. You know the drill. Someone offers you a bit of extra cash for something you're not thrilled about doing, maybe covering a shift, helping with a project, or freelancing on top of your day job. You justify it to yourself. It's just a few hours, or I could use the money. But then the day comes and you're staring at the clock, exhausted, wondering why you agreed to this in the first place. The money feels good for about 5 minutes, but the time, it's gone, and so is the energy you needed for things that actually matter. Here's the swap. Stop thinking of time as something you trade for money and start thinking of it as something you trade for value. The value might be money, yes, but it could also be rest, creativity, joy, or connection. The key is to make intentional choices. Before agreeing to anything, ask yourself, is this worth the time and energy it will cost me? Not just in dollars, but in mental bandwidth, in missed opportunities, in life. I know this might sound impractical, even a little privileged. Trust me, I get it. I used to say yes to every opportunity, thinking I couldn't afford to miss out. But one moment changed everything. A friend asked me to help with a weekend project for a small paycheck. At first I agreed, but something about it nagged at me. That weekend, I was supposed to visit my parents, who I hadn't seen in months. I hesitated, then decided to cancel on the project. My friend wasn't thrilled, but that visit with my parents? It was filled with laughter, stories, and memories I wouldn't trade for anything. This shift isn't just about saying no to low-value opportunities. It's about saying yes to what truly enriches your life. It's about valuing your time, not just in dollars, but in meaning. The next time you're tempted to take on something that doesn't feel right, pause. Consider what you're really trading. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being smart with the most finite resource you have, time. So, here's my challenge for you. The next time someone offers you money for your time, ask yourself, what's the real cost? If it's too high, let it go. Your time is your life, and your life is priceless. Choose wisely. Choose intentionally. Your time, your energy, your joy, they're worth it. Always. Number 4, the anti-hustle hourglass. Let's get one thing straight. Not every moment of your life needs to be productive. Shocking, right? In a world where hustle culture is practically a religion, the idea of slowing down feels borderline rebellious. But here's the truth. Endless grinding isn't the badge of honor we've been sold. It's a ticket to burnout. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't hustling how you get ahead? Sure, in moderation. But what if the real secret to success was knowing when to flip the hourglass and let the sand settle? We've all been there, trapped in the never-ending loop of to-do lists, late-night work sessions, and that nagging guilt whenever we try to relax. You know the type. Those moments when you sit down to watch a show or take a nap, and your brain starts screaming, you should be doing something. It's exhausting, and yet we keep pushing, believing that if we just hustle harder, we'll finally earn the right to breathe. But let me ask you this, how often does that break actually come? Here's the twist. Instead of trying to squeeze more productivity out of your day, try flipping the script. Enter the anti-hustle hourglass. It's not a literal hourglass, though you could totally use one if it helps. It's a mindset shift. For 1 hour, just one, you consciously stop all the doing and let yourself be. No checking emails, no scrolling social media under the guise of research, no multitasking. It's an intentional pause, a reset button for your brain and body. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, maybe even lazy. Trust me, I thought so too. Then one afternoon, after working non-stop for weeks, I tried it. I set a timer, flipped my mental hourglass, and spent an hour doing absolutely nothing productive. I listened to music, stared out the window, and let my mind wander. At first, it was uncomfortable. My inner hustler was screaming. But by the end, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Clarity. That 1 hour gave me the mental reset I didn't even know I needed. This isn't about slacking off or abandoning your goals. It's about recognizing that rest is not the enemy of progress. It's the fuel for it. By stepping away, you're giving yourself the space to think, to recharge, to come back stronger. The anti-hustle hourglass isn't just about avoiding burnout. It's about reclaiming your time and, frankly, your sanity. So here's my challenge for you. Try it. Just 1 hour. Set aside your to-do list. silence your notifications, and flip your mental hourglass. Let the world spin without you for a bit. You'll be amazed at what a little stillness can do. Because at the end of the day, your worth isn't measured by how much you hustle. It's measured by the life you build when you're finally free to breathe. Number 5, ethical selfishness. Sprint. Here's a question to stir things up. When was the last time you made a decision purely for yourself, guilt-free? Think about it. We live in a world where being selfless is celebrated to the point of exhaustion, and doing something just for you is often labeled as selfish, like that's a bad thing. But here's the twist. What if being selfish in the right way could actually make you a better person, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you? Intriguing, right? Stick with me. You know those moments when you say yes, even though every fiber of your being wants to scream no. Maybe it's a work project you didn't have time for, a family obligation that drained you, or even just agreeing to meet someone for coffee when all you really wanted was a nap. We've all been there. You think you're doing the right thing, but inside, resentment brews. And let's be honest, resentment isn't a good look on anyone. Here's where the ethical selfishness sprint comes in. It's a short, focused period, say a week, where you commit to prioritizing your needs first. Now, before you panic, let me clarify. This isn't about becoming a self-absorbed jerk. It's about practicing intentional, ethical selfishness, the kind that says, I'm recharging my battery so I can show up fully for the people and commitments that matter most. It's a sprint, not a marathon. Temporary, intentional, and incredibly transformative. I tried this once when I was at my breaking point. My schedule was a nightmare. Work deadlines, family obligations, social commitments. I was running on fumes. So for 1 week, I decided to do only what felt necessary and restorative for me. I turned down a couple of invites, delegated a task at work, and even skipped my usual hour of doom scrolling to read a book instead. At first, it felt weird, like I was breaking some unwritten rule. But by the end of the week, something incredible happened. I was lighter, happier, and, ironically, more productive. Here's the beauty of it. Ethical selfishness isn't about shirking responsibilities. It's about recalibrating. By taking care of yourself first, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And when you thrive, your energy, focus, and kindness ripple outwards. You stop showing up half-heartedly and start being fully present. It's not selfishness for the sake of selfishness. It's selfishness for the sake of better connection, better work, and a better you. So, what's stopping you? Give yourself permission to take an ethical selfishness sprint. For 1 week, let yourself say no without guilt. Prioritize what lights you up and watch how it transforms your energy. Because here's the truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. By filling yours, you're not just helping yourself. You're creating a ripple effect of positivity for everyone in your orbit. Number 6. The Chaos Contingency Challenge. Let's face it, chaos isn't an if, it's a when. Life has this sneaky way of throwing curveballs at the worst possible moment. Your meticulously planned day, it derails. That deadline you thought you had under control, suddenly it's a crisis. And don't even get me started on those days when everything seems to go wrong at once. Sound familiar? Now, here's the kicker. What if I told you that chaos isn't the problem? The real issue is not having a contingency plan for it. Intrigued? Let me explain. You know that feeling when your brain is juggling a million things and suddenly one more task gets added to the pile. It's like trying to hold a house of cards together in a windstorm. We've all been there, right? You scramble, you panic, you react. But it's messy, and the mess spills over into your mood, your work, your relationships. You end the day exhausted, not because of what happened, but because you weren't prepared for it. Enter the Chaos Contingency Challenge. Here's the idea. Instead of pretending that every day will go according to plan, you build a buffer, mentally, emotionally, and practically, for the unexpected. It's like creating a safety net for your peace of mind. The challenge is simple but powerful. For 1 week, you'll practice proactive chaos management. You'll set aside 15 minutes each day to identify potential disruptions and map out how you'd handle them. It's not about expecting the worst. It's about being ready for it. I started doing this after a particularly disastrous week at work. Picture this: back-to-back meetings, a laptop that decided to die mid-presentation, and a forgotten dentist appointment that earned me a guilt-inducing phone call. By Thursday, I was a wreck. So, on Friday, I tried something different. I wrote down 3 what-ifs for the day. What if the client call got rescheduled? What if the internet went down? What if my energy tanked by 3 p.m.? And then I sketched out quick responses. Guess what? Chaos still happened, but it didn't knock me out. I had a plan, and that plan gave me calm. The beauty of this challenge is how empowering it feels. Instead of being at the mercy of every surprise, you're in control, or as much control as anyone can be. You stop reacting and start responding. It's like telling life, "Throw your best at me, I've got this." The best part? It frees up mental space. You're not spending precious energy worrying about what could go wrong because you've already thought it through. So, are you ready to take the Chaos Contingency Challenge? For the next 7 days, carve out those 15 minutes. Think through the disruptions that could arise and how you'll tackle them. It's not about perfection, it's about preparation. And when chaos comes, and it will, you'll find yourself calm, capable, and maybe even a little smug. Because let's be real, nothing feels better than being 1 step ahead of the storm. Number 7. Burn the perfection blueprint. Imagine this. You've got a dream. You're working on something that feels important, whether it's a project, a personal goal, or just a simple day-to-day task. You've got everything planned out perfectly in your head, and then without fail, something goes wrong. The world throws a wrench in your perfect plan. Maybe you miss a deadline, maybe your idea gets criticized, or maybe you just don't get it perfect. Now, here's the bold truth. Perfection doesn't exist. Yes, you heard me right. Perfection is a blueprint that keeps us stuck, constantly chasing something that's not even real. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't striving for perfection how we succeed? Trust me, I get it. We've all been there, thinking that if we just hit the exact right note, if everything is perfect, we'll finally get the recognition we deserve. But here's the thing. You know the type, the ones who obsess over every little detail and then end up freezing because they're afraid of getting it wrong, or the ones who can't let go of an idea because they feel it needs one more tweak to be just right. We've all been that person at some point. And guess what? It doesn't feel good. So here's the unconventional idea I'm offering. Burn that perfection blueprint, literally. Take a metaphorical match to the idea that everything has to be flawless. What if instead you focused on progress over perfection? What if you allowed yourself to make mistakes, knowing that they're just stepping stones toward getting better? The idea here is radical. Embrace imperfection. Let go of that unrealistic standard and start viewing every so-called failure as an opportunity to learn and grow. The truth is, perfection doesn't lead to success. Action does. Let me give you a real-life example from my own journey. A while back, I was creating content for my channel. I spent days planning, scripting, and rehearsing. I was obsessed with getting every word right, every shot perfect. And guess what happened? I ended up freezing. I couldn't bring myself to hit record because I was so fixated on perfection that I missed the point of creating altogether. So, I decided to scrap the idea of being flawless and just hit record. My first take was messy. I stammered. I made mistakes. But you know what? The video still turned out pretty great. And the best part? I felt relieved. I had finally learned to let go. This shift is incredibly empowering. Letting go of perfection means you're freeing yourself from that constant cycle of self-criticism and anxiety. This is about reclaiming your peace, your creativity, and your confidence. Instead of wasting energy trying to measure up to an ideal, you focus on doing your best, whatever that looks like today. And guess what? That's more than enough. So, here's the takeaway. The next time you catch yourself striving for perfection, remind yourself that it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow. Your space, your peace, and your dignity don't depend on getting everything right. They depend on you showing up, being authentic, and doing the work, even if it's messy. Because that's where the real magic happens. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video helped you see how pragmatism can be the key to finding a more balanced and fulfilling life. If you found it valuable, please give it a thumbs up. Your support means a lot. And don't forget to subscribe for more content on how to live smarter and with purpose. If you know someone who could use a little more balance in their life, share this video with them. It might just be the reminder they need. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment below sharing your personal experiences or how you've applied these ideas to your own life. Let's keep this conversation going. Remember, balance doesn't come from perfection. It comes from doing what works for you. Until next time, keep embracing the practical and keep living your best life.